after all, when the Sputnik was launched into space, how did they even figure out where it was going to come down?
Newtonian physics.
You could do it that way, but suppose that you wanted your spaceship to orbit the Earth, so that where it comes down becomes a little bit more difficult than just plain old garden variety. You're right, if you just shoot it off in Murmansk, you can figure out the arc that it's going to fly and where to look for it in Siberia. But if you have it orbiting the Earth, you have to know where, when and where, and with what strength to fire the rockets so that it re-enters the atmosphere at just the right speed. If you send it back into the atmosphere too fast, it'll burn it up. If you send it back in too slow, it won't ever come down, that kind of thing. So the Russians solved that problem by setting it up as a gigantic linear programming problem. Or no, I've got it backwards, I'm sorry. They figured that out because they had this really smart mathematician named Pontryagin, who, as a result of, I can't remember if it was a childhood accident or childhood disease, he lost his sight at 13 or 14. And he went one step further than the calculus of variation. He's the guy who figured out the calculus control theory. And control theory is all about how hard to step on the gas or how hard to step on the brake to get your space vehicle to come down on the surface of the Earth where you want it to come down. The Americans weren't so smart. They didn't have, and of course Pontryagin was doing his research in the Soviet Union behind the Iron Curtain, and they weren't about to publish it in the internationally accessible journals. They kept it for themselves. So the Americans had to solve the same kind of problem, especially when it was time to go to the moon. They were confronted with that problem. So in order for them to solve the problem, they set it up as a gigantic linear programming problem. And by dividing the path of the spaceship into enough small straight line segments, they could approximate the nice smooth curve that they needed to get the spaceship back down and splash it down in the ocean just off the coast of Florida without hitting the Bahamas Islands.